Hey guys, it's PoxiiPro. Welcome to my Elden Ring guide on short bows. Today I'm going to be showcasing how to get the short bow, the arrows that you can use with the short bow, the short bow move set for combat, and sort of like some tricks you can do to get some better DPS, and also kind of like its use cases. So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and talk about is how to actually obtain the short bow. This is going to be pretty much the first light bow variant that you can get in the game fairly early on. You can get it by either choosing the bandit class when you first start out, or you can actually get it from a merchant that you can find at the very early game. So if we head all the way back to the first part of the map, this right here is where you start. So you'll end up going to like this church. But if we scroll down a little bit off of this ledge, there's like a little beach, and there's actually a merchant underneath like kind of an archway. So we can go ahead and get to that. I'll go ahead and show you guys how to get there from the starting grace. So I'll go ahead and go to the first step. All right, so we're in Limgrave, and this is the very early, like I would say one of the first graces that you get to. We can go ahead from here, just make a left towards the water. You don't need a mount to get to this area either, but I'm just gonna use one to kind of show you guys the route faster. You just want to get all the way to the edge here, and we're pretty much just trying to get down there. So we can go ahead and just start descending. There is a giant here, but you don't have to fight it. You can kind of just avoid it. Cool. Once we get down to the actual beach area, then we can just start heading across the beach. There's some other stuff here that might be useful too, so you can always explore it. Past these dudes. And then right under here, there's a merchant by this fireplace. So we can talk to this merchant, and then we can go to purchase. For 600 runes, you can buy the short bow. They are also going to be selling some arrows. So you can buy one arrow for 20 runes. And then if you want to buy, and if you're really interested in bow and arrows for your playthrough, then there's also this armorer's cookbook, which will give you access to crafting Firebone arrows, the fletched version, the bolts, and also neutralizing boluses. But yeah, that's pretty useful for being an archer. So that's how you pretty much get the short bow. You can either get it from the bandit or from this merchant. Now that we have the short bow, I'm also going to show you guys where you can get the recipe for crafting regular arrows, because that might be pretty useful for early game. So we can head back to pretty much like the second grace you unlock at this church right here, and there's going to be a merchant there. So from here, we can talk to this merchant. This one, the one that's kind of like dressed like Santa. Go to purchase, and then I believe it is the first cookbook with this one right here, which will teach you how to craft the regular bone arrow, the non-fire variant, and then the bone arrow fletched. So that is pretty useful, and you can also buy arrows from this merchant as well. Pretty much every merchant at least sells the regular arrows. Some of them will start selling some of the other stuff as you find them later on in the game. But this cookbook is really good to help you start, because arrows can be pretty expensive in the early game if you're using bow a lot. So crafting them might be a good alternative. Just instead of runes, it costs time to farm the mats to craft arrows. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what the arrows need. We can talk about arrows now. So if we go to item crafting and go down to the arrows, I have a lot of different recipes, but right here, firebone arrows, it costs thin beast bones and smoldering butterflies. The smoldering butterflies you can kind of get near like wildfires or like campfires, or just kind of like out in the wild. And then thin beast bones is by hunting the smaller animals that aren't like the rabbits, the small creatures. Like I'd say like small to medium creatures, like even like those goats that start rolling around. You can get those. And then this is the regular bone arrows. You just need thin beast bones. And then the fletched version just adds a feather into the crafting recipe, and you can get those by killing any birds that can fly pretty much. And then there's a lot of other arrows as well. So the short bow is compatible with any type of arrow any type of regular arrow. So any non-bolt and any non-great bolt. So just the regular standard ones. The bigger bolts are for the great bow, and then the regular bolts are for crossbows. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the move set a little bit, and pretty much like controls for this bow. So if you do, I'm doing default controls on a controller. So if you do the top left bumper, you can ADS or aim down your sight, and it gives you this little crosshair, and you can line up headshots with this for crits. and most creatures stagger when you headshot them, so you can try to get like a second one if you line it up good. The other one is if you hold down just the left trigger, then you get ready for the weapon art, and then your top right bumper is going to be the ammo slot on the left there. If you look at the bottom left of the screen, you can see I have 98 of the regular arrows. So left slot of arrows is assigned to the top right bumper, and the right slot arrows, which is 38 blood arrows right now, is assigned to the right trigger, bottom right trigger. So if you ADS and you use the top left, it's going to use regular arrows. If I use the bottom right bumper, it's going to use the blood arrows there. So that's how you can choose like what arrows you want to have equipped and what arrows you want to be able to use in combat. And yeah, that's pretty much it for arrows and general buttons. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the actual attacking with these. So you have your standard shot. So if I hold down top right bumper, then that's just going to pull back an arrow, and then I can just release. And it's just gonna hit whatever target, and you can use lock on to make it a lot easier. So that's like your first basic attack. Then you have the ADS attack, so you can try to snipe with it, and you can see the arc so that you can try to like aim a little bit better as they move around and whatnot. Boom, headshot. And then you have the weapon art. For the short bow, it's gonna be like a barrage attack, so you just hold down the bottom left trigger, and then you can spam whichever arrow you want on the right side, and it'll just shoot a lot faster. It's really good for applying status effects. If you're using non-basic arrows and you have like a blood arrow or something, then it'll stack effects really fast. We have the rolling shot, so you can roll and then get a shot out right immediately after. There is also the sprinting shot, so if I'm sprinting, I can stop really quickly and get a shot out like that. And then there's also the back pedal shot. So if I back pedal like this, and then I take a shot, and then I think last but not least, and I think this is my favorite, is actually the jump shot. So you can shoot like that, and a lot of times it'll actually get you at the height for headshot on most creatures. And then there's also like an animation cancel with it in a way. So you can jump, shoot midair, and then as soon as you land, shoot again. And you can only do this with the light bows or the black bow. So if I go like this, okay, well that one died in one shot, but let me see if I can find a stronger opponent. Okay, so we'll do a jump shot and then a follow-up shot just like that. And you can just see the attack speed on it, like the DPS is going to be really good. So that's why you usually would use the light bow versus do they call it a heavy bow? But the long bows essentially. And then just really briefly, I want to talk about like upgrading it and the scaling, and just how to get good damage on the short bow. So it is going to be one of the really first early game light bows, but it's definitely not going to be the best. There's also like another short bow like this one. And there's also another one called like the Misbegotten short bow, which I haven't gotten yet, but that one is also really good. So this is just good for the early game. So it's not horrible if you use a couple stones to make it a little bit stronger, but I wouldn't put too much into it. And then also, and just in general with bows, the attribute scaling doesn't really get that much better when you do upgrade the weapon. You actually get most of your damage from the arrows that you choose to use. So your crafted arrows are going to be doing less damage than the arrows that you buy from the merchants. So overall, once you do have an abundance of runes, you'll get more damage by actually buying arrows than spending runes on leveling strength or dex. But that's not to say that you shouldn't level up, because I think that is still important to like invest in stats like vigor. But yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know in the comment section below. Any positive or negative feedback will also let me know, that way I can improve, and hopefully I didn't miss out on anything, but if I did, I'll leave it in the comment section below. Until next time.